elbow to the face. Hello and welcome to Post to Post, the channel where we discuss all things hockey. My name's Neil, and back here again with Justin, where this is our third video of the day, and we just thought we'd just go through kind of some storylines of the NHL in the past, I don't know, 2 weeks or so, and we're going to start off with what happened last night in Calgary. They were playing Los Angeles, and Tkachuk, or however you say his name, elbowed Doughty in the face, and Doughty went down. A scrum ensued, and now he has Tkachuk has hearing with the NHL to see, what's going to become of this. He's a young player. He's a rookie. He's been known to be a little, I don't want to say cheap shots on the ice, but he's been known to be a little bit of a dirty player, and he could be in trouble here. So we wanted to talk a little bit about it. But first, let's check it out. All right, so after watching that, what do you think?
Well, first off, I'm not happy he elbowed my favorite defenseman in the NHL, Drew Doughty. So much respect for that guy. But after watching it, from numerous angles, you clearly see he takes a look before he throws that vicious elbow. So he definitely intended to throw the elbow. Did he intend to get him in the face? Well, that's another story. He might have just been trying to elbow him, kind of in the chest or in the shoulder to kind of get him away from the play a little bit. It's tough to say, but to me, he 100% was intentional in throwing that elbow, which is something you just shouldn't be doing. Yeah,
that's where I'm at with it too. The elbow is without question intentional. That was very clear. I don't think that's even arguable from the video. But do I think he meant to hit him in the face? I don't actually. I don't think he meant to hit him in the head. I don't know why anyone would want to elbow anyone else in the head. There's nothing good that comes of that, whether it's seen by the ref or it's not seen by the ref. It's just, there's cameras everywhere. Why would you do something so stupid? So based on that, I don't think he actually meant him to elbow him in the face. And if it had been in the chest, it would have been nobody would be talking about it. It's just one of those things. I fear that he will get a 1-game suspension. That's my prediction. Maybe he'll just have a talking to. Who knows? We'll find out today, I guess, or maybe tomorrow. But I wanted to read just briefly what Doughty said about the situation. And so Doughty said, "He's a pretty dirty player, that kid. To be a rookie and to play like this is a bit surprising." So obviously he's not very happy with the situation.
No.
He said it hurt and it'll hurt for a while. But so just let us know in the comments below what you think about that. And we'll move on to the next topic, which is the Minnesota Wild. And they've lost 5 games in a row. And one of those games, I think, was against Colorado. I'm not 100% sure, but what's going on here?
Well, it doesn't overly surprise me in a lot of ways. To me, I felt for a while Minnesota was overachieving. I would have never predicted them to be this high in the standings as they are right now, as of today. But Minnesota does have some good things going on. Eric Stahl basically rejuvenated his career by going there. He's having a phenomenal year. They do have a great coach there in Boudreau. If you're going to go through a little bit of a slump, you might as well do it right now, because to me, Minnesota is already going to be guaranteed a playoff spot very shortly. So there's still time for them to right the ship and get this going. But if you go through those 5 games, were any of them insanely a blowout loss by any means? You can argue a little bit in each direction, but I still feel they'll be competitive come the playoffs. But I'm sorry, Minnesota fans, I just don't see them going far. To me, they've overachieved.
I think a lot of it has to do with Dubnyk too. He unfortunately he's not been strong recently. And that's not unusual. We saw it from Carey Price in the middle of the season. We saw it from a few other goalies throughout the year. It's just one of those things. Every goalie has their ups and downs, and Dubnyk is just in a bit of a down right now. He let in some very soft goals. I watched on a few highlights and a live game. I think it was on Saturday, or I can't remember. Anyways, so they've actually done the opposite of what I thought they would do with Columbus. So I thought that Minnesota would continue to rise and Columbus would fall. But it's actually been the opposite. Columbus has continued to be a powerhouse and Minnesota's now started to fall. So
Well, you could argue fatigue as well with Dubnyk.
Maybe.
You know, they've really put a lot on him. He's been amazing for their club. You look at other franchises that insanely, you know, rely on that starting goaltender. You know, hey, fatigue could be catching up to the guy at this point in the season. He has started a lot of games this year for Minnesota.
And I'm not sure when their bye week was. I don't remember. I don't follow all teams of bye weeks, so maybe it was really early in the season and he's just getting tired now.
Yeah, I'm still not used to this whole bye week thing.
Strange.
It's still all new.
Moving on to the next topic, Chicago's 5-game winning streak, and I will gladly admit that I was wrong about Chicago. I thought that they would still be competitive, but really not be the same powerhouse that they have been, and I was, you know, totally wrong. They've been on a tear lately, which totally surprised me. And are they for real? Can they make a legitimate shot at another cup? Can they do it?
Well, Chicago, you got to tip your hat to them. They are a consistent franchise, and they've had that core in place now for numerous years. And as guys elevate their game, they become UFAs because Chicago can't afford to have them anymore. And then they replace them with very similar style players, and they just keep repeating as this juggernaut in the West.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Will they come out of the West? Well, it's very, very possible. And as of today, if I had to predict a team coming out of the West, I would put my money on Chicago coming out of the West.
I think a lot of people would.
Yeah, I think it would be a safe bet, but I'm not much of a betting man.
I think that they'll make it past the first round, definitely, regardless of who they play. But the part of me that doesn't want to see them play is also swaying my prediction, because I'm going to predict that they don't make it to the Cup Finals, and I'm probably going to be wrong, but that's what I want to see and what I predict. So,
well, I think the NHL would smile ear to ear if it was Chicago and Pittsburgh for the Stanley Cup.
I wouldn't watch. I don't know if I could watch. I'm so sick of seeing Pittsburgh.
Oh my God.
And Chicago.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I'd be tuning in an hour before the game started.
Oh no. I just watched the highlights. No, I'm just kidding. Of course I'd watch. Moving on, and this is the reason why I wore this hat today. Jake Allen, he had a very tough start to the season, as everyone knows, and unfortunately for the St. Louis fan base, everyone is a little worried. You got rid of Brian Elliott, you really solidified your choice in Jake Allen, and he was not doing well at all. But in the last 10 to 15 games, Jake Allen has been one of the best goalies in the league. St. Louis is playing much better. They've gone past Nashville again, back up in third place, and they're doing what people expected them to do. Although they did have a little bit of a slump, a lot of their recent success can be attributed to Jake Allen.
Yeah, and kudos to management, because they were the ones to really step in and say, hey, you know, the young kid's struggling a little bit. So what did they do? They sent him down for a few games of conditioning, let him build his confidence back up, and then they brought him up to the NHL club and started putting him back into games. So kudos to them for really, killing this thing before it got, further on. I mean, he's still very young into his career, so, things like this will happen. But the thing is, he's playing insanely strong hockey, leading up to the end of the season. So, hey, it's a win-win for them.
Yeah, and I think that he spent some time off the ice with Martin Brodeur, just discussing life and how to get through these situations and stuff. So
you can't ask for a better guy.
I know, I was just about to say, having Martin Brodeur be your mentor is best case scenario. So moving on, speaking of former Brian Elliott, or former St. Louis Blues goalie Brian Elliott, he's on an 11-game winning streak, which is, I mean, it's the same thing. Brian Elliott started out slow in his season with Calgary,
right?
And not everyone, but a lot of Calgary fans were like, "Oh my goodness, is this happening? Like, did Brian Elliott's supposed to be our guy? How is this happening?" And Chad Johnson had to step in and was playing all those games for a while. But this last half of the season, Brian Elliott has been one of the best goalies in the league. He's been absolutely unbelievable in the last 11 games. I don't know if you've watched any Calgary.
Oh, yeah. I've definitely tuned in. But Calgary is red hot right now, and that's no pun intended, the Flames. But, I mean, you look at what they're doing, just in the month of March, and it's incredible numbers that they're putting up. To me, this is a team that's overachieving, because I would have never predicted Calgary would be in the position that they're in. And I mean, at one point, the point separation between Edmonton and Calgary was insanely huge. And then out of nowhere, Suddenly Calgary is battling them for that position. It's just amazing what they're doing. And to me, sadly, as I mentioned just a minute ago, they've overachieved. Do I see them going deep? No, but at the same time, they could surprise people because they're going in as a complete underdog. There were a lot of analysts out there that didn't even predict them to make the postseason this year. They're a group of young kids. They're going in on a high. Absolutely no pressure because they're not predicted to go far. So they're going to be going in on a high and on a huge roll. If you look at their win streak that they've recently had,
Yeah, definitely an underdog.
They could really surprise someone, I think.
When I did my playoff prediction video, I think it was 8 weeks ago or 8.5 weeks ago, most of my predictions, I would say about 85% of my predictions are completely wrong. But this is one of the predictions I got right. I predicted that Calgary would come back and pass Edmonton in the standings and make it to third.
Wow.
Second, I can't remember.
That's a good prediction.
But just
ignore the 85%.
Yeah, just ignore the other, all those other predictions I got wrong.
Yeah,
but
just ignore that.
Moving on to the next topic is Columbus clinching for the third time in their Stanley Cup, or in their third time in their team history. So the fact that they were able to clinch so early,
right.
not early, but I mean just behind Washington, which is the first team to clinch, is really, really impressive. The fans must be insanely happy, and I know that I will be watching Columbus play in the playoffs regardless of who they play, because they're such an exciting team to watch, and much like you like the style of hockey they play.
Yeah, I do.
And a part of me hopes they play Pittsburgh again, because that series against Pittsburgh a couple years ago was one of the best series I've ever watched in my life.
Yeah, these two franchises completely hate each other, and a lot of it deals with geographic location. I mean, in reality, they're not overly far from each other, the two cities. It's the same with Philadelphia, Columbus, and Pittsburgh, that triangle. These three franchises really just despise each other. So if they do meet up in the first round, my goodness, it's going to be amazing hockey. And just the other year when Pittsburgh and Columbus played in the postseason, right away I wasn't overly concerned that Pittsburgh would have an insane amount of trouble with Columbus, because my first thought was, well, if I look at their lineup, who exactly has a lot of playoff experience on this team? Now, yeah, there were specific guys that stood out, but there were a lot of guys that stood out for the opposite of didn't having a lot of experience. But because they've gone through that, and I've always said you have to lose before you can learn how to win. And now with Columbus having that experience under their belt, going in on the high that they could be a scary opponent in the first round for somebody.
Bobrovsky's on the top of his game. Maybe he's playing better than he's ever had in his career. Mm-hmm. So that's a scary thing.
Yep.
Moving on to our final topic, and it has to do with your favorite player, Sidney Crosby. So I'm sure you're going to have lots to say about this, but he scored a hat trick yesterday.
A natural hat trick.
Yeah, was it yesterday or the day before?
Yesterday.
Yeah. So
yesterday afternoon.
40 goals now.
Yes, he does.
I think the next person is Marchand with 36 or 37, something like that. So, the question is, can anyone catch Crosby in goals? And I was watching a video where someone predicted that Max Pacioretty could go on a hot streak and catch Crosby, and I thought it was foolish that someone would say that. As a Canadiens fan, I think that is absolutely foolish. Now,
that would be really tough. I mean, Crosby and McDavid are tied right now, 80 points apiece. The goal scoring, though, he does have a three goal cushion on Marchand, but the issue there is, I'm sure if you even ask Crosby right to his face, he would be one of the first ones to tell you he's not a goal scorer. He's a playmaker over a goal scorer. And to me, he's really overachieved this year with his goal scoring. And he's been in the league over 10 years, and he's only hit the 40 goal mark twice.
Has he ever gotten over 50?
Once. And that was the year he won the Rocket, because he tied with Stamkos in goals. So he's only passed the 40 goal plateau twice in his career. Yet he was able to put up, and the last guy to do it, 120 points in the season. So he's a playmaker first, much like Gretzky in his career. But it's going to be interesting down the stretch. I really think it's going to be strictly between Crosby and McDavid for the Art Ross. Mm-hmm. And, who's going to put out the hardest over those last, 11, 12 games down the stretch. And the biggest shocker for me, though, is there's not going to be a single player again in the NHL that's not going to hit 100 points.
It's
we haven't seen it in a little while, but I mean, it has happened in the past.
Yeah. And how many games left does Pittsburgh have?
11, I believe.
10 or 11. So, there's still technically lots of time left. That's I don't know what percentage of that is within 82 games, but it's over 10%, I think. But it's going to be interesting to see if anyone catches him. That's not really something we can predict. I don't think it's... Crosby could not show up for the next 10 games.
I'd like to see him win another scoring title. He does only have 2. He's only won the Rocket once.
Only has 2.
yeah, he only has 2. He's only won the Rocket once, so I'm sure it's something that he would like to win again, even though when he did win it, it had to be shared with Stamkos because they had the same goal total. But, you know, at the end of the day, the guy's already really won everything in his career. What's left for him to win?
He hasn't won the Vezina.
Yeah, or the Norris.
Yeah. Has he won the Selke?
No, I don't believe so.
So I guess that's the only possible trophy is left that he could.
I don't believe so.
But anyways, that kind of wraps up. You know, this went a little longer than what I thought it would, but we had some good conversation, I think, and these are just kind of some hot topics over the last couple of weeks in the NHL. I hope you enjoyed watching this video because we enjoyed making it, I think, and I can only speak for myself.
Yeah. I hate being here.
Thank you guys very much for watching. We really appreciate it. Justin, where can they find you online?
At JustinTheMan87 on Twitter. And
you can find me on Twitter at Post to Post Show. Otherwise, leave a comment down below. We'll be sure to discuss anything hockey with you. And otherwise, we'll see you in the next video where we have to film 2 more today, I think. And so I think the next week will be pretty set for videos. And so keep a lookout for them, and subscribe if you're not subscribed. We're really trying to get past the 100 point mark because we're going to do a giveaway soon of a hockey card. So once we hit 100 subscribers, we're going to make a giveaway video and give away a few valuable hockey cards. So hit the subscribe button below, tell your friends, like the video, do all that good stuff, and we'll see you in the next video. Adios.